Hi everyone, this is real estate coach Craig Proctor. Thank you very much for being with me here today. Today we're going to be talking about the ultimate listing presentation. We're going to be talking about how to get listings. First of all, we're not going to be talking about how to get the appointments. I do special training on that. But we're going to talk about what actually happens at the appointment. So welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully I'll share some great information. I know I'm going to share some great information with you here today so that you can be unstoppable when you meet with sellers and you will have the ultimate listing presentation. So to begin with, I'm real estate coach Craig Proctor. If you could please type into the comments where you're located, because I always like to get some referrals moving back and forth amongst Craig Proctor Nation. So this happens every week. Don't be shy about this. Raise your hand, type into the comments your major metropolitan marketplace that you work in, and maybe we can get you some referrals. Maybe we can get you some listings. So today, here's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about everything in regards to the listing presentation itself. Okay, I do special training again on how to get listing appointments, because obviously if you don't know how to generate listing appointments, it doesn't really matter how good your listing presentation is. But I promise you this, if you follow my advice here today and you start to practice this and you do it over and over again, just like I did, you will become unstoppable. What do I mean by unstoppable? I became so good at this presentation that I would literally list 8 or 9 out of 10 sellers I would meet with. Now, part of that was because I did a pretty good job of pre-qualifying the seller before I would run out and meet with them, which we're going to talk about today. Is what questions should I ask before I even run out and do this presentation, and then exactly what should happen when I get inside their house. So I'm going to go through all the nitty-gritty details. Now, what qualifies me to talk about this is I did over 10,000 listing presentations. It wasn't unusual for me on a Saturday or a Sunday to have 5 or 6 listing appointments each day. So they'd be lined up every hour on the hour. I'd have a 9 a.m. listing appointment, a 10 a.m., 11 a.m. So I had to be so organized that I was at their home doing the presentation, getting the paperwork all signed up, and then jumping in my car and getting to the next presentation, all within an hour. Okay, now sometimes I would have to two-step it if I couldn't get the job done in 1 hour, but most of the time I was really super efficient. I was able to get in and out the door with the listing contract signed. But here's the key: the listing contract signed at the right price, at the right commission rate, and for the right length of time. That's really the key to having an awesome presentation. And today we're going to be in competition quite often with a lot of other realtors. So your presentation has to be so good that at the end of it, the seller not only decides that they want to choose you versus all the other realtors they're meeting with, but they're actually willing to pay you more money than the discounters or other realtors they're meeting with. So again, we got to have a powerful presentation. This should be systemized. My listing presentation didn't always used to be systemized. How many of you are like me, where in the beginning you were using the wing it presentation, right? The wing it. I didn't really have a systematic way to do this. It's just like whatever came out of my mouth, right? So, I mean, that was fun and exciting because I never knew what the hell I was going to say until I actually got there. But I want you to think about this. A surgeon has a system, right? A systematic way. They have a surgical plan before they cut you open. At least you hope the surgeon does. An airline pilot has a flight plan. They don't just jump in the plane and wing it. So as professional realtors, what I learned, and of course what you know, and why you're here today, is you want to have a systematic way to present. And this was a matter of trial and error for me. Trying and testing different things, and some of what I said fell on deaf ears, and other things that I said were seemingly brilliant. So over many years, it was all about saying the right things, experimenting, putting the right things in the right order, and now I had a presentation system. This was very effective for me because now I knew I had an 80 to 90% chance when I met with a seller that they were going to sign up with me as long as they were qualified, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But more importantly than just helping me be super successful and increasing my conversion rate, can everyone understand that when I built my business to the point where I couldn't physically go out on all the listing appointments, good problem to have, right? But by year 3, I couldn't go out on all the listing presentations. My marketing was working that well. So this listing presentation system, I was able to delegate this to other licensed agents that joined my team, right? It's a system, so I could just insert other realtors into my listing presentation system. These team members became as good as me. So the system took an ordinary realtor and it helped them get extraordinary results. And of course, I did the same thing with the buyer presentation as well. So are you guys ready to rock and roll? You want to learn what I did here? Hopefully this will make sense. I really can't think of anyone more qualified to teach you all of these listing tips. Now, I'm biased, of course, but think about this. I've been doing this for over 25 years, 10,000 listing presentations. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. All you have to do is learn from somebody that's already successfully doing the thing that you want to do. So if you're joining us a little bit late, I'm real estate coach Craig Proctor. Please type into the comments where you're located. I want to get you guys some referrals, get you talking back and forth. I want to introduce you to the most successful Craig Proctor members who happen to be the most successful realtors from all over Canada and the United States. So don't be shy. Type in your geographical area, the major metropolitan city that you're in. Type it into chat. And by the way, if you like this, don't forget to smash the thumbs up, hit the like button, and remember to turn on notifications, because that way, anytime I go live with new content, if you're following my page here, you like it and you turn on notifications, you're going to be notified when I create new awesome stuff. Okay, so here we go. What I did this morning at breakfast is on my phone, I just typed out all the things that I want to share with you, just so I don't forget anything. Okay, so first of all, just to remind you, today we're not talking about how to get listings. That's different training I'm going to do, but let's just assume that I can show you how to get listing appointments, how to run effective lead generation by offering sellers what they want so you can get face-to-face with them. We're not going to cover that today. We're going to go right to what happens when a seller says, yeah, I want to meet with you. Because we can't have enough of those, especially in this marketplace. We want the listings. Side note, by the way, I was so competitive on my listing appointments that if, and most of my listing appointments were in the evenings because that's where when sellers were available after work to meet with me. How many of you are like me? Let me know in the comments. If you're so competitive, when you would lose one, I would be like analyzing it on the drive home in my car, or I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking about what I could have done differently. And I think that's what made me really good at this, is because I OCD'd over every detail of this. And usually if I lost a listing, it was because I didn't follow my system. You know, sometimes I became overconfident or I became lazy and I would skip certain steps. Don't do that. Follow the system. So, how do we pre-qualify these sellers before we run out the door? You know, we don't want to meet with a seller just because they'll meet with us. Now, I get it. Back in the day, when I was new in the business, I was happy to meet with any seller. If they would say yes, I would meet with them. It didn't even matter to me. I didn't even think about whether they were motivated or qualified. And then I would meet with this nice elderly couple and they'd bring out you know, tea and biscuits, and I realized 5 minutes into this, they didn't want to sell their house, they were just lonely. So rule number 1, write this down. This is write her down. You don't meet with everybody. You only meet with people you should. Don't meet with sellers just because you can. Only meet with them because you should. That means you've qualified them. So what kind of questions are you going to ask them? Obviously, you want to determine their motivation and timing. Where are they moving to? Why are they moving? When do they need to be there? Do they own a house or are they currently renting? Do they have a realtor that they're speaking to, or a realtor that they're considering or working with? Are they obligated, 100% committed to that realtor? Would they prefer to buy first or sell first? These are all the questions I'm asking. How much money have you spent on your house? Right? What have you done in terms of improvements or renovations? I don't have to ask them what they paid for the home because I can look that up myself. Now, here's a great question to ask. What do you think your house is worth? Sometimes they'll say, well, I mean, that's why you're coming over, right? That's why Craig's coming to the house. But quite often, it'll give me a clue. Sometimes they'll tell us a price that's like way more than what we know the property would be worth, which tells us we've got our work cut out. Or sometimes they give us a price that's actually less than what the home would sell for. So I'm asking a lot of questions to make sure that this prospect is worthy of me, not that I'm worthy of them. And the way I'm able to do this is because my lead generation system is so awesome, because I'm generating so many seller campaigns, seller leads, and seller appointments, I can pick and choose who I want to meet with and who I don't want to meet with. Okay, so I'm going to ask everyone let me know in the comments if that's true for you. Let me know in the comments if you have an automatic lead generation system that produces you a steady stream of pre-qualified buyers and sellers. Okay, so once I have that figured out, I could be very particular with who I was going to meet with, right? I can ask them a lot of questions to determine, is this seller worthy of me? So I'm not just going out to meet with anybody. I'm going to be pretty sure that when I get there, they're going to be signing on the dotted line, and I'm going to have a good presentation and be prepared for this. Now, after the pre-qualification, I'm sure that this is a good prospect. Even the way I knock on the door, this sounds silly, but I'd knock on the door and they'd answer it, and I would extend my hand. Hi, this is Craig Proctor with ABC Realty. Are you folks ready to get your home sold tonight? And just how they answered that question would give me a clue. Sometimes they'd say, yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. And I'd walk in to the kitchen and they'd have their survey and their tax information. So I know, like, this is basically a come list me. That's a good sign. Or sometimes when I knocked on the door, hi, this is Craig Proctor. Good to meet you. Are you folks ready to get your home sold tonight? Sometimes they would waffle on that and they would say, well, we're not sure. Depends what you have to say. Then I know I got my work cut out. But either way, what happens next? They lead us into usually like a living room or a dining room or a kitchen. Don't go into like a family room where you're sitting on one couch and they're 20 feet away on another couch. That's not going to work. Remember, we're like actors, right? We're there to do a presentation. So we want to make sure that, like all actors, that we set the stage. You know what I'm talking about? I'm going to have my laptop. I've got a PowerPoint presentation and I want to show them a lot of great stuff. And it does me no good if I'm like sitting over here and they're sitting way over here. No good. If the music is blaring, the TV's too loud, I'll politely ask them to turn that off or turn it down. So I am going to request very politely, could we sit at a kitchen table or a dining room table? And then even where they sit is important to me. I mean, you might think this is silly, but this is what I did. Here's why. Where they sit is important. How many of you can relate to this? Because usually we're presenting like to husband and wife, right? So if this is just random and I sit down, the wife could sit on one side, the husband could sit on the other side, and now I'm trying to divide my attention between husband and wife. And no matter how good a job you think you're doing of dividing your time equally between the two people, there's always one that thinks you were giving the other one more attention. So I just learned, well, why not have them sit together? So I just politely, little things I learned, right? I just politely asked them, hey, could you either sit to my left or my right? Because I want to show you some things. So I've got my laptop here. Oh, by the way, you'll probably, if you think about this, you're probably a left-handed presenter or a right-hand presenter. For me, I'd rather have them on this side of me, right? So I just feel more comfortable. So why not just ask them, hey, could I sit here and could you sit here so I can show you some great information? Now, when I look at one of them, I'm looking at both of them at exactly the same time. Little stupid things, right? But this is something that I learned to do, and it made me more effective. Okay, now we're not even to the presentation yet, right? So I've set the stage, we're sitting at the kitchen table, boom, I've got my laptop powered up. What are we gonna do next? Well, we're not gonna do the presentation until we go look at the house. So as we're looking around the house, I've got a little notepad here, and I'm making notes for two reasons. Number one, I'm not like a super detailed person, but the sellers liked it. The sellers like it when you take a lot of notes. And it might be crazy things like, we went to Italy last year and we bought this brass door knocker and it cost us $5,000. So I'm writing it down, door knocker, $5,000. Are they gonna get $5 grand more for the house? Who knows, in this market, maybe, right? But is the door knocker going to increase the value by $5,000? I'm writing it down anyway. The other reason I write detailed notes is, remember what I said earlier, I'm going out on 4 or 5 listing appointments every day. So if I don't take detailed notes, by the end of the day, I'm not really sure which house is which, and I get all the features messed up. So it's the sellers like it, and it's good for us as well. Okay, so now I'm walking around the house. As I'm walking around the house, remember, we haven't even got to the presentation yet, but as I'm walking around the house, they're showing me all the beautiful things, the things that they've done to the home, and I'm writing down the features. I'm asking them some very specific questions. For example, what do you do for a living? And how they answer it, how they answer my questions, and of the questions they ask of me, I'm able to determine their personality type. How many of you have studied the DISC personality type? Let me know in the comments. DISC, you're a student of that. This is really important because you want to be liked, you want to connect with 100% of prospects. According to Dr. William Marsden, there's 4 major personality types, and if you've done this test, you're going to be one of the 4. And so when you meet with somebody just like you, no problem at all, right? It's like a match, and you're going to hit it off. But if you meet with somebody that's like the polar opposite of you, you've got to learn how to sell to people the way they want to be sold, not necessarily the way you want to be sold. Does that make sense? So by asking a bunch of questions like what they do for a living, if the husband's a school teacher, he's probably an S personality. If the wife's an accountant, she's probably a C. If the husband's a negotiator at General Motors, he's probably a D personality, right? If the wife is, I don't know, she's in sales, she's probably an I personality. So I am figuring out, I became really good at figuring out who I'm dealing with, what personality type they are. So now I know pretty much whether they're going to be listing with me from right inside the front door. We've set the stage at the kitchen table. I've looked around at their house. I've taken all my notes in my notepad, and I even know how to sell them because I know their personality test. So I have a PowerPoint presentation. I start off spending maybe a minute or 2 on me. Remember, the presentation has to be about them. Now, here's the easiest way to sell the prospect on you. Talk about them. Don't talk about you. Talk about them. Spend the vast majority of the time. If you're there for an hour, 45 minutes should be about them. This is such common sense, but find out if they're interviewing agents, what they're looking for. Don't just talk about what you think is important. Just ask them. They'll tell you, oh, I understand, you're interviewing 3 other agents. What are you looking for in a realtor? What's most important to you? Remember, why are you moving? When do you need to be there? But what is the most important things for you in this move and in your choice of realtor? Folks, if you ask the right questions, they will tell you. They will tell you how to sell them. And then you just talk about what's most important to them. For example, if they said, we hate open houses, I'm not talking about, a big part of what we do is open houses, right? If they're going to give you some clues on how to sell them, and I teach you how to do this. Okay, now, find out why they're moving, find out what's most important to them, explain why you're the solution. You've got to make this a no-brainer. Your presentation has to be so good that the conclusion at the end of it is the seller says, where do I sign? Here's a little test for you. If at the end of your listing presentation right now, if you're being faced with objections, if you have to be an arm twister, it just simply tells me your listing presentation isn't strong enough, because the natural conclusion to an awesome presentation is at the end of it, they say, where do I sign? That's what we want to happen here. So what are the ingredients of this presentation? I want you, after you figure out what's important to them and what they really want, I want you to talk to them about 3 things. Number 1, I want you to talk about unique services that you provide that the other real estate agents don't provide. So you're like, okay, Craig, what are the unique services that I provide that the other agents don't provide? Okay, here's one really good one. One thing that I did prior to every listing appointment, I would go to my CRM and I'd pull off a list of all the buyers I had for that part of town in that price range. Now imagine this. I bring my list of buyers. I call this my buyers and waiting list. And I say this, you ready? Because it's good. I would say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, should you decide to list with me, I have a list right now of 117 buyers that are looking in this neighborhood, in this price range, for a 4-bedroom home. Should you decide to list your home with me, not saying you would, but should you decide to list your home with me, the very first thing that I would do is I would email detailed pictures and description of your home out to the 117 buyers that I'm currently working with. And sometimes I get a match right away. This, by the way, is called the Craig Proctor's Buyer in Waiting Program. Okay, so we're going to leverage off the buyers. I teach you, by the way, how to generate lots of buyers. Does that make sense? Everyone else is like, now when I say, well, what did the other realtors talk about? Oh, all they talked about is what they would do to go to find a buyer. Should we list with them? Does everybody get this? I'm coming in with a list of buyers, and I show them the list, by the way. It's really good. I show them the list. Has the names of my buyers, how many weeks I've been sending the buyers information, how many homes I've sent the buyers, and I hand this list to the seller, and I let them look at it. They're like, wow, that's a lot of buyers. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you mentioned that you were interviewing 2 other realtors. Did the 2 other realtors you meet with, did they talk to you about how many buyers they're currently working with? Pause. They're thinking, right? Always let them come to their own conclusion. Here's what they'll say. No, the other realtors we met with, all they want to talk about is should we list, if we were to list with them, what they would begin to do to try to find a buyer for our home. See, what conclusion do they come to? Craig Proctor has all the buyers. So that's a unique service. If they were into open houses, I would talk about my virtual tour of homes, or back, if we can do physical ones, my physical tour of homes, where we open 6 or 8 homes in the area, and how we would open each house for a very specific 15-minute window, and we would, on purpose, make all the buyers that are interested come to their property at the same time, creating a competition, or what I like to refer to as the auction effect. How many of you guys are liking this, by the way? Can you tell that I know this? Show me some love in the comments. Hit the thumbs up button, like this page, and turn on notifications. There's a lot of trainers in this industry, so-called gurus. They haven't paid the price, folks. They haven't been in the trenches for 25 years. They haven't done 10,000 presentations. The tiny details I can give you about it, you don't get those details unless you've been in the trenches doing this for a long, long time and you're really, really good at it. Now, time isn't necessarily important. Somebody could be in real estate for 20 years and still suck, right? I'm asking you to look at my track record, okay? I was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the entire world 36 months after having my license because I figured out these systems. But I've got this very powerful dual track record because I've helped over 30,000 agents do what I'm doing. That's the good news for you. Everything I'm sharing here, you can do. I'm really good at doing it, but I'm also really good at teaching it to you. We got a lot more here to come, but I want to promote my upcoming conference that's coming up June 11th to the 13th. How many of you would like, that's just a few weeks away. Let me know in the comments if you would like to, I'm going to invite you, if you'd like to attend 3 days with me. Okay, it's June 11th, 12th, and 13th, and it's $189 if you're an early bird. If you're an early bird, then the price goes up dramatically. If someone could type into the comments, CraigProctorSeminar.com. Craig Proctor, my name, CraigProctorSeminar.com. If you could type that into the comments, that's a clickable link. Don't go there now, but go when we're done and sign up. The price is going to go up right now. You can sign up for $189, 3 days with me. This is like a tip of the iceberg. This is a teaser, but you're going to hear me for 3 days, and I'll be interviewing the top real estate agents all over North America that are my students, including some of the top agents for the biggest franchises all over North America. They're going to talk about how they use the Craig Proctor system to make millions of dollars a year. Okay, that was my brief commercial. I hope you're all there, but let's get back to this subject. Okay, so we talked about what I say at the door. We talked about setting the stage, finding out why they're moving. Don't beat around the bush, don't guess, find out why they're moving, find out what's important to them so you can talk about what's important to them. Earlier in my career, I would talk about what I thought was important to them. And at the end, I might talk about, I do all these open houses, and at the end they say, well, we don't like open houses. Duh, right? Find out what's important to them and then talk their language, okay? This presentation should be about what they want, not what you like. And you got to present it the way they want to hear it. If you're a detailed person and you want to know the details and you're presenting to somebody that's, say, a D personality, and they're going to make decisions in 15 minutes, don't sit there and bore them for an hour and a half. They don't want to listen to your hour and a half presentation. And the opposite's true. If you're kind of like a top liner, hey, I make decisions fast in 15 minutes, don't assume the seller meeting with you is going to decide whether they're going to use you in an hour and a half, in 15 minutes. You might be there for an hour and a half because they might need more information. Once you identify who you're selling to, then I will teach you how to perfect this. This is part of what we're going to be learning at the 3-day conference. I'm actually going to give you the test, show you how to use it, show you how you can use this test on your spouse, your kids. It's amazing stuff. It's the psychology of selling. Okay, then we want to talk about what makes you better and different. Okay? Don't be shy about this. During that presentation, it's got to be about why you're better and different than the other real estate agents. So tell them about your unique services. Okay? Tell them about your unique programs. Put a guarantee in there. What if you said to a seller today, hey, look, I know the market's really hot. I'll guarantee that if you list your home at a price agreeable to us, like if we can agree on a list price, I will get you 100% of your list price, or I'll pay you the difference. And there would be, some conditions, like they have to list their home at your price, and maybe you would contribute up to, 1% of your commission. But the truth is, if they actually list their home at your price in this market, it's going to sell for way over the asking price anyway. How many of you, let me know in the comments if you would be cool guaranteeing something that's going to happen anyway. Like I guarantee tonight it's going to get dark and tomorrow it's going to get light again, right? So I can teach you performance guarantees. Like here's another one. What if you said to the seller, hey, I guarantee if you list with me, I've got a customer service, client service guarantee where I guarantee that you're going to get an update every single week. We're going to call you and we're going to let you know what we're doing specifically to market your home and how many showings that you've got in the property and what the feedback is. And if we don't call you every week with this report, I'll deduct $500 off my commission. Like you're going to do it anyway, right? So why not guarantee it? Now, the other realtors that you're up against might say, well, we call our sellers every week too. But the difference is you're giving it to them in writing and there's a guarantee and there's a consequence if you don't follow through. Your competitor's like, well, I just guarantee great service, and they use loose language. So I'm going to show you specific performance guarantees that you could use to blow away your competition. And the other thing that you could use is you could use some statistics. Let's say that I'm going into a neighborhood where I've done really well over the last 6 months, and I've sold maybe more homes than the competitors, or I've sold them at a higher listed sales ratio, maybe over the asking price, where I've got a lower days on the market, whatever it is. I want you to start doing some research. If you don't have any good stats for yourself, you can use your company stats. So now what we can do is we can talk about what makes you different and better, right? The unique services that you offer, the unique programs that you offer that the other agents don't offer, and statistically, why you're best qualified for the job as their realtor. Now, we go through this presentation, and again, part of the conference, June 11th, 12th to the 13th, I'm going to go through an hour and a half slide, PowerPoint by PowerPoint, and I'm going to give you the presentation, by the way. For all of you that register, remember, it's craigproctorseminar.com. I will give you my PowerPoint presentation, and during this 3-day conference, I'm going to go through that presentation slide by slide by slide, explain what I do, why I do it this way, the exact order I do it in. Before I get to quoting my commission rate, or before I quote them a list price, here's what I do. I ask for the order. I do kind of a light close. Before I get to price, and before I discuss my commission rate, I'm going to say something like this. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based on what we've discussed so far, would you like me to handle this for you? Sometimes they say yes. Good. Sometimes they'll say, well, hang on a second. We haven't you haven't given us the list price, or you haven't told us what your commission is. To which I say, okay, assuming we can come to an agreement on the asking price and my fee, based on what we've talked about so far, would you like me to handle this for you? I want to get a yes, because we don't want the seller making their decision based on who tells them the highest asking price or the lowest commission. If I can't get a yes, okay, it really doesn't matter what I think the right price should be or what my fee is, because they're not already convinced that I'm the person for the job. So I'm a little bit hard on this. Well, you haven't given me the list price yet. Well, what's it matter? Like, you're not convinced that I'm the right person for the job. So does it really matter what my suggested asking price is? Does it really matter what my fee is? So I'm going to try to get their commitment. Now, if I can't, I'll then go through the list price and why, and I'll go through my fee. And at the end of it is a harder close. And if they said yes to the benefit portion, but at the very end of my presentation, they balked at signing the listing agreement, they're not willing to sign, well, guess what? They said yes, they love the benefit portion, right? Remember I said, based on what you've heard so far, would you like me to handle this? And they said, well, what about the fee? What about your commission? Well, assuming we can come to an agreement on the asking price and my fee, based on what we've talked about so far, would you like me to handle it? If I can get a yes there, but a no at the end, what does that tell me? It tells me, well, they must have had a problem with either my price, right, the asking price that I recommended, or my commission. But here's the key. Now that I know what it is, what the objection is, I can handle the objection. This is why I do it this way. Too many of you are like, you're going all through your benefit portion, and then you give them the asking price, and then you tell them your fee, and at the end of it they say no. Now the problem is you don't know what they're saying no to. Are they saying no to they didn't like the benefit portion of this? Are they saying no to they didn't like my suggested list price? Are they saying no to they didn't like my commission fee? What are they saying no to? So I'm isolating this. I'm isolating any objection. Why? So I can handle it. Now, I teach you how to handle the most common objections, but like I said earlier, the better the presentation is, the less objections you get. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if that makes sense to you. That the better you became at your presentation, the less objections that you had. I'll repeat this again. The natural conclusion to an awesome presentation is at the end of it, the seller's like, okay, where do we sign? Okay, if they give you a whole bunch of objections, that should send a message to you, hey, I've got to go back, revisit my presentation. I've got some things to learn. And hey, why reinvent this yourself? You don't have to climb up Mount Everest by yourself. I've already climbed up Mount Everest. Just spend 3 days. Let me lay it all out. Folks, it's $189 for 3 days. Okay, what's that, $60 a day? Are you kidding me? $60 a day to learn what took me 25 years to learn. I will give you it. All you have to do is show up and listen. You don't have to have a creative bone in your body. If you can copy, you will succeed with the Craig Proctor system. Now, handle objections, use testimonials. This is a biggie. To help you close, if required, use testimonials. Have lots of them. And the testimonials have to be good. They can't be wimpy testimonials. Craig was a nice guy. No. You want testimonials that say, I was listed with 3 other agents. I listed with Craig and it sold. Or, Craig's tour of homes helped sell my home. Or Craig's buyer in waiting got me a buyer right away. Make sure your testimonials back up stuff that you talked about in the presentation. So I've got really good specific testimonials. And then I'll use risk reversal if I have to. Just grab a random piece of paper. If I have to, I'll pull up my cancellation guarantee. And I'll say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this cancellation guarantee is very important. It's an unconditional guarantee. That means if I can't be one of these realtors that comes in today and I sound really good today to get your listing, I have to do a good job not only today to get your listing, I have to do a good job every single day to keep your business. This is an unconditional guarantee. It doesn't matter what I think. If you at any time don't think I'm doing a great job, then call me and we'll cancel the listing. Now, do I give this cancellation listing to everybody? I don't give this cancellation agreement to everybody. No, no, no. I only use it when I need it. Does that make sense? Because some of you get confused about this. Oh, Craig said give everyone a listing presentation. No, 80% of the sellers I meet with are gonna happily sign up, but the 1 or 2 out of 10, I might as well pull out all the stops, right? If I leave, I'm not getting it anyway, and that might convert, another 50% of the ones that you couldn't convert. Look, I will teach you guys to be unstoppable. How many of you are liking this? Let me know in the comments if you've found this helpful. I'd also like to invite you to my private Facebook group. If you're not already a member, I have a new private Facebook group where I can get you some more information. And if you'd like an invitation to my new private Facebook group, just type into the comments private group. Okay, if you type into the comments private group, I'll make sure that we get you an invitation. And how many of you would be interested in spending 3 days with me? How many of you would do it if it was free? Well, it's not free, and I'll tell you why it's not free. Look, people don't associate any value with things that are free, and you wouldn't show up and pay attention. It's a very modest investment, and if you don't have $189 and you're a grown adult and you're in the real estate business, and the real estate market now is arguably the best it's ever been in the history of ever, think about it. What are you waiting for? If you're not succeeding right now, what are you waiting for? There's more houses selling now than ever, at higher prices than ever. There's more offers than ever. We can't use the market as an excuse for not doing well. Do you know that I have members, many of them making over $1 million a year, and some of them are making $1 million every single month? And you might say, well, nobody makes that kind of money. And I'm here to tell you, yes, they do. And you're going to meet them during this 3-day conference. The dates are June 11th, 12th, and 13th. If someone could type into the comments again, CraigProctorSeminar.com. CraigProctorSeminar.com. Remember to like this page. This is my business page, Craig Proctor, as well. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this today. And don't forget to turn on notifications. We're going to wrap it up for today, but I hope you enjoyed our discussion on the ultimate listing presentation, and I hope to see you all next time. Everybody take care, have a great day, and thanks for tuning in. This is Real Estate Coach Craig Proctor. Hi, this is Craig Proctor. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed that video. And listen, I've got a lot more information for you to help you grow your real estate business. You see, several times a week, I record new videos and I load them onto this YouTube channel. What I'd like you to do, if you'd like to access them, are 2 important things, and both are totally free. Number 1 is I'd like you to subscribe to this channel. You're gonna see a little subscribe button for you to click on. And if you don't already have an account with YouTube, it's free for you to set it up. It's really easy, it's free, but you've got to subscribe to this channel. And the most important thing is to ring the little bell right next to the subscribe button. And that's gonna let you know every time I load new money-making videos to help you grow your real estate business. So make sure you subscribe right now, you ring the little bell, and we'll see you on the next video.